For 1,000 years, it remained hidden, lost beneath layers of earth, swallowed by time itself. A forgotten city, erased from history as if it had never existed. But when explorers finally unearthed it, what they found defied explanation. At first, it seemed like just another ancient ruin. Crumbling walls, shattered statues, the remains of a civilization long gone. But then, something changed. Deep underground, they discovered a chamber that should never have existed. Strange symbols covered the walls, markings unlike any known language. And at the center of it all, an artifact so advanced, so out of place, it sent shockwaves through the scientific community. How could a civilization lost for over a millennium possess technology beyond its time? Who built this city? And more terrifyingly, why was it buried so deliberately? But the most chilling discovery was yet to come. Because when experts decoded a small portion of the inscriptions, they realized, this city was never supposed to be found. Something was hidden here, something the ancient world tried to erase. And now that it has been uncovered, one question remains: did we just awaken something that was meant to stay buried? For centuries, whispers of a lost city echoed through ancient texts and forgotten folklore. A civilization that rose to unimaginable heights, then vanished without a trace. No records, no ruins, no explanation. Just a gap in history, as if the entire city had been erased from existence. But legends persisted. Some spoke of a kingdom so advanced that its knowledge threatened the balance of the world, forcing its destruction. Others told darker tales, of a catastrophe so horrifying that survivors chose to bury their own past, ensuring no one would ever uncover what lay beneath the earth. Historians dismissed these as myths. But deep in the heart of an uncharted valley, hidden beneath dense vegetation and layers of soil, an anomaly was discovered. Satellite imaging detected unnatural formations, structures too precise to be natural. Something was buried here. Archaeologists, driven by curiosity and the promise of uncovering history's greatest mystery, assembled a team. The excavation began. At first, they found nothing but layers of hardened earth, the kind that takes centuries to form. But then, the breakthrough. Beneath the dirt, they struck stone, not random rock formations, but walls. Man-made. Carved with precision. As dust settled and tools scraped away centuries of time, what emerged left the team stunned. An entire city. Perfectly preserved. Structures still standing. Streets intact. Artifacts untouched, as if time itself had been frozen. But something was wrong. This was no ordinary ruin. Unlike other ancient cities, abandoned due to war, famine, or natural disaster, this one seemed deliberately buried. Walls collapsed in unnatural ways. Doorways sealed from the inside. And the most chilling detail? No signs of life. No skeletons, no remnants of human remains. It was as if the inhabitants had simply vanished. Then, the true mystery began to unravel. Deep inside what appeared to be the city's central temple, explorers uncovered a hidden passageway. At the end of the corridor stood an enormous stone door, covered in strange carvings, symbols that didn't match any known ancient language. But there was something else. Carved into the stone, a message in an unfamiliar script, yet somehow readable. As if it was meant to be understood. The word sent chills through the team. We were never meant to be found. Turn back before it's too late. Was it a warning? A desperate plea? Or something more sinister? The team, driven by the need to uncover the truth, ignored the message. The door was forced open. And beyond it, the discovery that changed everything. What they found inside defied logic. An underground chamber, untouched by time. Strange artifacts, completely foreign to the period. Materials that shouldn't exist. And in the center of the room, a sealed container, humming softly, as if still alive. What was buried here? Who left the warning? And more importantly, what happens now that the lost city has been uncovered? Because some legends don't just disappear. Some were meant to stay hidden. Forever. The team stood frozen, the weight of history pressing down on them. The air inside the underground chamber was thick, untouched for over 1,000 years. Their flashlights flickered against the stone walls, revealing intricate carvings, scenes of people worshipping something, or fearing it. Then, the hum. It wasn't loud, but it was unmistakable, a deep, low vibration coming from the sealed container at the room's center. It didn't make sense. This city had been buried for a millennium. Nothing should be working. Nothing should be alive. Dr. Carter, the lead archaeologist, took a step forward, his breath unsteady. The box was unlike anything they'd ever seen, not stone, not wood, not even metal. It was made of a material that felt unnatural, smooth yet strangely warm to the touch. Could it be an artifact of the lost civilization? One researcher whispered. But why was it sealed away? Another asked. And why the warning outside? No one had an answer. They examined the chamber further. Around the container, smaller objects were scattered, things that shouldn't have been there. Tools resembling modern instruments, delicate glass-like tablets, and something even more unsettling. A map. But not just any map. This one depicted the ancient world with unsettling precision. Lands drawn with an accuracy far beyond the knowledge of the time. Cities that had not been built yet. And in the center, a mark, right where they stood. This place had been known before it was even lost. Then came the real breakthrough. One of the researchers, dusting off a slab near the entrance, noticed something etched into the stone. Unlike the symbols in the temple, these markings weren't just abstract shapes. They were equations. These are advanced calculations, she muttered. Mathematics far beyond their time. But how? Who could have known this? The deeper they searched, the stranger it became. More engravings, some resembling stars and constellations that had yet to be mapped. Others depicted human figures, but with distortions. Larger heads, elongated limbs, almost otherworldly. The expedition's excitement turned to unease. What if this wasn't just an ordinary lost civilization? What if they had discovered something that was never meant to be understood? The sealed container became the focal point. If anything held the answer to what had happened to this ancient city, it was inside. Dr. Carter hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to stop. To leave this place undisturbed. But the pull of discovery was stronger. Let's open it. The team exchanged nervous glances. They had come too far to turn back now. With careful precision, they began unlocking the mechanism. The hum grew louder. The chamber's temperature seemed to rise. Was it reacting to them? Then, a sudden rush of air. The box unsealed itself. Inside, nestled in a strange, transparent material, was something that shattered everything they thought they knew. It wasn't treasure. It wasn't bones. It wasn't anything that should have existed in an ancient city buried for 1,000 years. It was a device. Small, metallic, with an engraving matching the symbols on the walls. But it was not rusted, not damaged. It looked new. The hum faded. Silence filled the chamber. And then, as if the city itself had been waiting for this moment, a hidden mechanism activated. The walls shifted. Dust fell from the ceiling. The floor trembled. Something was waking up. The discovery was only the beginning. The real mystery was what happened next. The team stood in stunned silence, staring at the device resting inside the strange container. It was sleek, metallic, untouched by time, impossible for an object buried for over 1,000 years. Dr. Carter reached out cautiously, his fingers hovering over the surface. The material was smooth, cold, yet as soon as he touched it, something happened. The room lit up. Symbols on the walls began glowing, pulsing in an eerie rhythm. A low hum filled the chamber, not mechanical, but almost alive. It wasn't just a device. It was still active. Then, something even more terrifying. The engravings on the walls shifted. The dust and grime that covered them for centuries slid away as if repelled by an unseen force. The team watched in shock as new images appeared, moving, changing, telling a story they were never meant to see. It wasn't just an ancient civilization. It was something far more advanced. The carvings depicted figures, human-like but not quite. Taller. More refined. Their eyes large and haunting, their hands reaching towards the stars. They weren't just looking at the heavens. They had been there. The team watched as the images animated themselves, depicting scenes that shouldn't have been possible. They saw structures that defied physics, energy sources unlike anything known in recorded history, and finally, a great exodus. One by one, the figures began disappearing into the sky. Not dying. Leaving. "Are we looking at an evacuation?" one of the researchers whispered. But why? The answer came with the next set of images. The city had thrived. It had prospered beyond anything the modern world had seen. But then, something went wrong. The images showed a fracture, a sudden change, a force ripping through the city. Shadows fell over the structures. Figures ran in terror. The sky turned dark, the earth split open. And then, the final horror. The ones who remained, changed. Their bodies twisted, their faces distorted in agony. Something had happened to them. Something that wasn't natural. Dr. Carter stepped back, his mind racing. "This isn't just an ancient city," he murmured. "It's a warning." And then, the device in his hands came to life. A soft vibration. A flicker of light running across its surface. The team gasped as symbols projected into the air, moving, reconfiguring, forming something recognizable. It was a countdown. The numbers were modern. And they were ticking down. 010. 009. The realization hit like a thunderbolt. "This isn't a relic," Carter whispered. "It's a trigger." The city was never lost. It was sealed away. And now, they had woken it up. The hum in the room grew louder. The air grew heavier. The walls trembled as if something beneath them had been waiting, watching, for centuries. Then, the final image appeared on the walls. Not a warning. A message. "We told you not to return." The countdown hit 0. And then, the ground collapsed beneath them. The ground beneath them gave way. Dr. Carter and his team plunged into darkness, their screams swallowed by the collapsing chamber. Dust and debris choked the air as they tumbled through a tunnel that shouldn't have existed. The walls were smooth, metallic, not stone. The fall seemed endless until, suddenly, impact. Carter groaned, pain jolting through his body. They weren't dead. A soft glow illuminated the cavern. Not from their flashlights, those had been destroyed in the fall. No, this light came from the walls themselves. They pulsed with an eerie, rhythmic energy, as if they were alive. Then they heard it. A whisper. Faint, distant, yet undeniably there. Carter turned sharply, scanning the room. "Did you hear that?" Before anyone could answer, a massive metallic structure emerged from the darkness. The dust settled, revealing a door. Not carved. Not built. Engineered. The symbols on its surface weren't just ancient. They were unlike anything on Earth. Lines of energy snaked through them, glowing, shifting, as if responding to their presence. Then, it opened. No sound. No resistance. Just a silent, terrifying invitation. Beyond it lay a corridor, lined with towering pillars. Each was embedded with what looked like glass panels. Carter stepped closer, wiping away centuries of dust, and gasped. Inside the panels were people. But they weren't just statues. They weren't bones. They were preserved. Frozen in time. Their expressions were frozen in horror. "Are they dead?" someone whispered. Carter's breath was shaky. "No." He touched the glass. "They're in some kind of stasis." A thought struck him. This wasn't a tomb. It was a vault. Then, the whispering returned. Only this time, it wasn't distant. It was coming from inside the vault. A screen flickered to life at the end of the corridor. No one had touched it. No one had activated it. And yet, it played. Static. Then images. A face. Not human. Its eyes were dark, intelligent, watching. Studying. Then, it spoke. "You were not meant to be here." The team froze. The voice continued, calm, but filled with something unsettling. "You have awakened what we sealed away." The curse of this city was not its destruction, but its survival. Carter stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper. Who are you?" A pause. Then, the answer. "We were the first. And we were the last." The images shifted, revealing a civilization beyond imagination. Towers stretching into the heavens, technology so advanced it felt like magic. A world where knowledge knew no bounds. And then, the fall. The screen displayed a catastrophe unlike any in history. The people of the city were not simply abandoned. They were transformed. A mistake was made, the voice continued. An experiment. A discovery. A force beyond control. Carter felt the blood drain from his face. They were changed. No longer like us. No longer like you. They became something else. Something wrong. The image flickered. And then, they saw it. The creatures. The beings who had once been human. Now twisted, elongated, their bodies stretched and distorted. Their faces locked in eternal agony, yet their eyes burned with intelligence. They had not died. They had evolved. This city was not hidden, it was contained. "We built these walls not to protect ourselves from the outside world, but to protect the world from what we had become." The whispering grew louder. A deep, guttural sound reverberated through the chamber. Something stirred. Carter turned slowly. The glass panels, they were cracking. One by one. They were waking up. "You have broken the seal. Now they will walk again." The screen flickered, then died. Darkness. Silence. Then, the first breath. Long, ragged. Not human. One of the figures behind the glass moved. Its eyes snapped open. And then, all at once, the vault came alive. A deafening screech echoed through the chamber. The figures began thrashing against their containment, their bodies convulsing, their mouths twisting into unnatural shapes. The team ran. Glass shattered behind them, releasing the horrors that had been locked away for centuries. Carter could hear them, skittering, crawling, faster than anything should move. They reached the corridor. The door, the massive, ancient door, was closing. Carter turned. One of the creatures lunged. Its limbs were elongated, its fingers clawed. Its face, once human, was stretched in an unnatural grin, its eyes burning with hunger. A gunshot rang out. Someone fired. The bullet did nothing. The door was inches from sealing shut. Carter threw himself through the gap, just in time. Darkness swallowed the vault. Silence. Then, a pounding. Something was on the other side. And it was waiting. Carter collapsed against the stone, his chest heaving. His team was barely alive, covered in dust, blood, and terror. No one spoke. Then, Carter looked down. The device. The one they had found. It was still in his hand. The countdown had reset. And it had started again. This wasn't over. The city wasn't just a relic of the past. It was the future. And now, it was waking up. The silence was unbearable. Carter stared at the ancient device in his hands, its glowing symbols shifting as if aware of his presence. The countdown was active again, but this time, it wasn't sealing something away. It was activating something. His breath caught. What if we didn't just awaken the past? What if we triggered the future? The pounding on the sealed vault door intensified. The creatures inside, they weren't just trapped. They were waiting. Planning. And now, they knew. The legends were wrong. The city hadn't been forgotten, it had been erased. Hidden for 1,000 years because humanity wasn't ready for the truth. But now, the world had to be ready. Carter turned to his team, his voice firm. We can't just run. We need to tell the world. But who will believe us? Someone whispered. Carter clenched the device. They will. Soon. Because this was never just an archaeological site. This was a warning. And it had just been activated. This isn't just a story. This is history rewriting itself. What if ancient civilizations weren't lost, but hidden for a reason? What else lies beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered? The past holds secrets that could change everything we know about human history. Are we truly ready for the truth? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think lost cities still hide forgotten knowledge? What would you do if you uncovered a truth too big to handle? Subscribe for more mind-blowing discoveries, because what we just uncovered is only the beginning.